welcome on in to another episode of Getting Wild with Terry and Friends. I'm Terry. That's going to be a solo show today, but that is all good. Yesterday, a rough day. Morning, Tim. Fade Ice X. I guess so. Not in the Wild game, if his pick is still the same as it was earlier. But yeah, yesterday was a rough day. One of my few rough days that I've had this year. That was a rough one, but it happens. You got to get back up and move on along. And that's what we're going to do. Pretty good slate today for me to break down, and we'll jump right into it in the first game here. We have Anaheim Ducks anywhere from plus 165 to plus 180. Philadelphia minus 192 to minus 220. Sixes right across the board in this one. And this is one game that I'm not getting involved in. I don't have player props in this game. I don't have a side or total in this one. Philadelphia should win this game. But I will not be putting my money on Philadelphia when they're minus 200 favorites. They're more of a plus money team, kind of like the price you're getting with Anaheim. So I think Philly's going to win this game. I'm not taking them on the puck line. I'm not taking them on the money line. And then obviously the total would be a lean with the under. But again, it's just a lean. It's nothing strong enough to pull the trigger on it. So that game is ultimately a pass. Tim Earl says quack. So maybe he's liking the Ducks. Ice X says fade Ice X. Is that I'm not quite sure who that is. The pictures in your background there, but Richie says, "What's up, Terry? Smash a like." Thank you, Richie. You always do that. You are the best. Puck line the Flyers. Hey, if you can trust them on the puck line, then yeah, go for it. We'll move on along to the next game, the game that I will obviously be watching. We've got the Minnesota Wild minus 122 to minus 140. Washington plus 105 to plus 120. Home dogs, sixes right across the board. In this one, Minnesota's had a few days off, back-to-back wins. The last one, a 2-1 win against Arizona. That was rough. I had the puck line, and it was one of my few losses. I believe it was Saturday. So that was not really a good performance by Minnesota, but they did what they had to do to get the win. Washington is coming off an overtime thriller where they came back and won in overtime. So Minnesota has the rest advantage here. The Wild just re-signed Matt Boldy to a 7-year deal at $7 million per year. I think in the first year or two, well, at least this year, or at least next year, most likely, it might be a slight overpayment at $7 million. But as you get into years 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and especially towards the end there, he's going to be in his prime at $7 million a year. Contracts are only going up. The salary cap will be going up. So $7 million is actually going to be a steal for Boldy in a few years. So I love the deal. And I think he comes out strong here. I'll get to my parlays at the end for sure. I will not forget. But I have Matthew Boldy score at plus 290 in this game. I have Minnesota money line at minus 115. Obviously, that's gone now. I would play it at the minus 125s. When you're getting to minus 135, minus 140, that's a little bit out of my price range. But I'm also on Kirill Kaprizov to score plus 115. Or sorry, plus 125. I like him to score here against the Capitals. He's only played in one game against Washington, and I believe Ovechkin was out with injury that game. So I'm pretty sure anyways. But so he's only played one game against Washington. I think Kaprizov wants to show Ovechkin what he can do. Obviously, a hero of his. So I expect Kaprizov to have a big game. I expect Boldy to have a big game after signing the contract. And then a player to look out for is Sam Steele. Point in 6 of his last 7 games. You can get him at plus money to get a point, which will be involved in my parlays later on. Isex agrees with the Flyers puck line in the last game there. And it's Schultz because I took him 2 TDs last night to save my day of L's. Hey, there you go. I was wrong on Tom Brady. I was wrong on the Bucks there. Boy, do they have a bad offense. That was bad. Go Wild, beat those stupid Caps. Hey, I hope so. Poor Boldy, stuck for 7 years. Yeah, Tim, see, he could have chosen to take a couple-year deal, bet on himself, and he would have got a huge payday. But instead, he decided he wanted to stay in Minnesota long-term and take a team-friendly deal. So that shows what kind of player he is, and it shows what kind of place Minnesota is to play. Because I'm sure he could have got more in his hometown of Boston than he did in Minnesota. Wild money line and puck line for sure. Congrats on the Boldy sign, Terry. Yes, Richie, I'm super happy about it. It does mean, though, Minnesota is going to have to make some tough decisions here. Matt Dumba is gone. Matt Dumba is 100% gone, but he's gone because of the cap, the buyouts of Parise and Suter. The Wild are going to likely have to get rid of someone else, maybe a couple bottom line players to be able to handle the cap situation. But I trust Bill Guerin to get the job done, and whatever needs to be done, I trust him to steer the organization in the right way in this one. But moving on along to the next game that we have here, Winnipeg Jets and the Montreal Canadiens. You can get Winnipeg minus 227 to minus 275. Montreal plus 190 to plus 220. Home dogs here, sixes right across the board. In this one, I'm on Winnipeg here. Winnipeg is moving up in the Central. They're playing well, getting wins against teams they should be beating, getting wins against some good teams as well. Now they're coming here to Montreal. Montreal, the injuries continue to pile up, but Montreal has played pretty well as of late. They haven't really lost by multiple goals. They've kind of been keeping games close for the most part. But what they've been doing and what they're going to do from now on are two completely different things. I don't like the spot for Montreal. Sadly, I think the Jets win and win convincingly. So I have the Jets minus 1.5 at plus 100, which you can still get there at quite a few spots. I think Winnipeg wins this one pretty convincingly. And then there is a player to get a point that I like in this game. It is in a parlay because you can't play it singly. And I will give it out at the end of the show. I'll be going over the few parlays I have. Richie's also taking Boldy and might take Oshie again too. Hey, there you go. Canadiens money line. Hey, it's a big dog, so but they've been playing well. But I think this is a bad spot and a bad team for them to face. Florida and Toronto here. You can get Florida plus 145 to plus 155. Toronto minus 172 to minus 182. 6.5s right across the board. In this one, I have Matthew Tkachuk to get an assist at plus 100. Matthew Tkachuk has been the one guy you can count on for Florida to contribute, and he has been getting assists. Most of the time he gets an assist. So I'm taking him to get an assist here at plus 100. But no side play here for me. Toronto has dominated Florida for quite a while. Florida playing better as of late. They've cost me some money lately going against them, so I'm not going to go against them here. Not going to back them on a second night of a back-to-back. I'll trust Tkachuk to get an assist against Matt Murray, and that's how I'll go with this. It would be a potential lean to the over 6.5 in this one as well, but I'm not getting to it in this one. Tim Smith says yes, so he agrees with something. Isaac says Leafs minus 1.5. So Isaac likes the Leafs puck line, and Tim Smith says correct. I'm guessing about the Leafs puck line. But that is fine as long as Tkachuk gets an assist. We'll move on along to the next game, Columbus and Nashville. You can get Columbus plus 175 to plus 180. Nashville minus 200 to minus 215. 6.5s right across the board in this one. Both of these teams on a back-to-back. It'll be Danil Tarasov in net for Columbus, and it'll be Kevin Lankinen in net for Nashville. With that in mind, I think Columbus is kind of appealing here with the plus price, but I'm not going to back them in this spot because I think Nashville wins this game. But obviously at minus 200, you'd have to parlay that with something. And I'm not getting involved in the side or total, but the prop that I've been betting often that wasn't really available at most spots is now available everywhere or in most books anyways. And that is Juuso Parssinen to get a point. I had him. He was assisting like crazy. You can get him to get an assist at a higher plus price. Unfortunately, he actually scored in his last game when I had him to get an assist. So I'm playing it safe here, and I'm getting him to get a point at minus 111. He has a point in 7 straight games for Nashville. He plays on the top line. Columbus gives up goals, and he's minus 111 to get a point. So I like Juuso Parssinen to get a point here. He's been one of my go-to players for Nashville. IceX likes Preds minus 1.5. Yeah, if I had to play a side play, that is definitely where I'd be going as well. So I agree. But we will continue on with our next game here. The Buffalo Sabres and Chicago Blackhawks. You can get Buffalo minus 182 to minus 193. Chicago plus 155 to plus 165. 6.5s right across the board. And this one, Buffalo let me down yesterday. Obviously, the money line didn't cash. The over didn't cash. I did not expect Buffalo to score 1 goal at home. It was a bad performance by Buffalo. And now they have to play the next night in Chicago. So if you have to play on a back-to-back, if there's a team you have to face when you need a win, Chicago is the right team to face. Alex Stalock was supposed to start in this game, and it would have been a pass for me completely. But he is still sick or injured. So it'll be Peter gives up a lot of goals, Mrazek in that today for Chicago. This is a spot for Buffalo if there ever probably was one. But I don't like what I'm seeing from Buffalo at times. Will they get up to play this game? Will they show up? I'm just not sure. But there is one play I have. In the previous meeting that these two teams faced in Buffalo, there was one player that really came to play. He scored the first goal of the game. He scored the game-winning goal of the game. And that's who I'm going to take to get a goal in this one. And that's Victor Olofsson, plus 250 to score for Buffalo. I think if there's someone that's going to score, I like him to score here. He already has 2 goals against Chicago this year. I think he can get another one in this game. So Victor Olofsson. IceX likes Blackhawks money line. All right. I guess they got to win eventually. Or they got to win sometimes. But we'll move on to another one of my favorite games of the night in this one. And it'll be a good game to watch for sure. Seattle Kraken plus 150 to plus 160. Edmonton Oilers minus 175 to minus 185. 6.5s right across the board in this one. But the 6.5 kind of pricey. You're looking at minus 122 to minus 135 in this one. All the meetings between these teams, I believe it is 5 of them. They have all gone over 6.5. Very high scoring games when these two teams face each other. But the one thing I really noticed in this matchup, and what I said yesterday with the Kraken, I had a bunch of Kraken props. That's partly why it was a really bad night, is because I went heavy on the Kraken props. basically because both teams have been going over. Even Tampa have been allowing goals, but the Kraken are not the same team at home that they are on the road. Both of these teams, actually. So Edmonton, 10, 11, and 2 at home, but they're 14, 7, and 1 on the road. Seattle, 10, 9, and 2 at home, but they're 16, 4, and 2 on the road. Both of these teams play much better hockey on the road. Both of the road teams have won in this matchup so far. I get it. Seattle, this is not a good spot for Seattle. Obviously, that long road trip. Then they have a game at home. Now they're playing on a back-to-back, having to travel to Edmonton. It's not a good spot for Seattle, but the Kraken play so well on the road. I think this is a good spot for them to bounce back here. Jack Campbell should be Martin Jones in net for this one. I've Kraken money line plus 160. I'm going back to Beniers one more time, plus 250 to score. And then I have Vince Dunn to get a point at minus 108. And Vince Dunn to score at plus 600. Small bet on that one. But he has goals in, I believe, 4 of his last 7 games, Vince Dunn. He has been the guy for the Kraken that you can count on. And he will be in one of my parlays that I'll get here to in a second. Vince Dunn has been the guy you can count on. So I have him to score at plus 600 and him to get a point at minus 108 on this one. Kraken money line. All right. Tim, he has his own point parlay here. Kirill Kaprizov for Minnesota, Austin Matthews for Toronto, Philip Forsberg for Nashville, Trevor Zegras for Anaheim, Rasmus Dahlin for Buffalo, Tage Thompson for Buffalo. So you have both of those guys in the same one. And Matty Beniers minus 130 for plus 1,300. So some books, Tim, people may not be able to put Dahlin and Thompson unless you can same game it. But those are the guys that Tim likes to get a point here tonight. We have one more game, then I will get to my parlays and then best bet in this one. Final game of the night, Detroit Red Wings, Arizona Coyotes, minus 125 for Detroit to minus 132. Arizona is plus 108 to plus 110, so very similar odds everywhere here for the Yotes. 6s and 6.5s in this one. And I'm torn. I'm torn on this. If it was a few weeks ago, I would have been jumping all over this over 6, especially with Connor Ingram in net for Arizona. But he's played very well his last 2 games, including the game against Minnesota. I believe he had a 2-0 shutout, or Arizona allowed it. He had a very good game the game prior. So he's been playing much better as of late, better than Vejmelka the last few games. So this game ultimately is a pass. There's nothing that I really like in it. So I'm just going to pass in this one to finish off the slate. Bovada allowed me. There you go. Yotes. Tim likes the Yotes. And Isaac likes Payne. So he likes Detroit minus 1.5. But all right, before we get to best bets, I will bring up my parlay here. This is one of my favorite bets of the night. It is a 5-player parlay here. Sam Steele to get a point. He has a point in 6 of his last 7 games. Nikolaj Ehlers from Winnipeg to get a point. He has a point in 5 straight games since coming back from injury and 7 of 8 games this year. Nikolaj Ehlers has a point. Florida, Matthew Tkachuk. Normally that's at 1.5 points for Tkachuk. It is at minus a half point for today. He has a point in 7 straight games. Juuso Parssinen to get a point. He has a point in 7 straight games. Vince Dunn to get a point. He has a point in 7 straight games. So there's a pattern here. All of these 5 players to get a point is plus 1,667. All 5 of them are hot right now. So that is where I'm going for my player point parlay. I like those 5 guys all to get a point tonight. My other parlays, I have a Matthew Boldy same game parlay, Boldy over 0.5 point, and Boldy over 2.5 shots on goal, which is plus 190 at Bet365. I have a 2-team player goal scoring parlay, Kirill Kaprizov to score and Matthew Beniers to score, plus 688. And then I have a team total parlay, 4 teams, all team total over 2.5. So they all need to score 3 goals total the entire game. Minnesota, team total over 2.5. Winnipeg, team total over 2.5. Buffalo, team total over 2.5. And Seattle Kraken, team total over 2.5, which is plus 340. So that is my card today. Going to best bets. Sadly, my 5-star NHL play lost yesterday. My player point best bet lost as well, but my side or my total best bet, which was the over in the Nashville or in the New Jersey game, that cashed today. And for best bet, player best bet, it's going to be Vince Dunn to get a point at minus 108. Defenseman, but he's done it all for the Kraken, so that would be my player prop best bet. I also like Juuso Parssinen just as much. All those guys basically on my player point parlay I really like. But for best bet, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go homer here. Take the Minnesota Wild to beat the Washington Capitals. I think it's a great spot for the Wild tonight, and I think they get the job done. But I guess the price has kind of moved on that. So you could take Minnesota if you don't like the price, minus 125, minus 135. You could go in regulation, which you're looking at plus 105 to plus 127. I like that as well. I just don't like the Wild puck lines, which seem to burn me, but you can take them in regulation if you want for plus money. But that is it. Best bet, lock of the night, Blackhawks money line. No way they lose to the Sabres. Isaac says, shut up, Tim. He doesn't like Tim's voodoo that he's doing. Hi, Isaac. No, Tim Earl. Like anyone would believe that Tim Earl would bet against the Sabres. I know, he's even worse than me with my Wild. Crazy. Good show, Terry. Thank you, ESB Esports. And you know what he's trying to do, Richie. Yeah, we all know. But best of luck to everybody today on your bets. Smash like button if you like the content. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Appreciate all the support. And we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode. Getting Wild with Terry and Friends. Best of luck, guys.